Hi babes, how are you? My name is Moran. Welcome to my series Getting Personal, where I gather different stories from Reddit, and today's theme is a bit broad. It's basically all sorts of mad shenanigans that would just make me go, nope. So without further ado, let's dive in and check the out. The first one is rough. Am I the asshole for correcting a friend when she said she rehomed her cat? My friend told a story about rehoming her cat because it wouldn't stop going to the bathroom on her bed. She said she put the cat in its carrier and left it outside the door of a local salon before they opened. She said she checked in later and one of the girls had decided to adopt the cat, so the rehoming was a success. I told her that what she did was not rehoming and that what she had actually done, my cat in the background is actually very upset with this story, and that what she had actually done was dump her cat. I told her that rehoming involves finding an owner and vetting them in advance. She got very angry at me for judging her. Am I the no, and Reddit agrees, and your friend is a monster, and I would never talk to that person again because what I cannot tolerate in this world at all. I got interrupted by my own animal that clearly has an opinion about this. What do you think of this? It's complete bullshit. My co-host is all settled down on my lap and we can go on. Anyway, what I cannot tolerate under no circumstances in this world is people who will throw out their pets. Yes, sometimes pets are difficult, sometimes they will pee where they're not supposed to, poop and chew things and scratch things, but somehow I feel like a lot of people don't want to consider that it's a literal animal that you put in your home and you are responsible for them, just as with children, and you are responsible also for bringing them up. If your pet is doing something that they are not supposed to do, it means something is wrong, but usually in most of the cases it's workable. Yes, some cats are just straight up that happens. Some dogs are just straight up as with humans, but the issue of peeing on the bed is solvable. I'm not gonna go into details of that because there's a whole lot involved there and it depends on whether the issue is medical or whether it's stress related or your relationship related. All different. I don't even know if it needs to be said, but that is not rehoming. She just threw the animal that she was supposed to care for away, and it's really just lucky that someone else found the cat and decided to adopt them. The top comment here is someone goes, yeah, that's not rehoming, that's straight up abandonment and is illegal in most places in the US. You're not the I judge the hell out of her too. That is all true, and let's move to a different story. My 30 female student, 18 male, made a super creepy comment. My husband, 35 male, thinks I'm being paranoid. I'm a high school English teacher and have been for a few years. In that time, as a woman, I've been used to teenage boys behaving awkwardly around me sometimes, and pheromones are part of the deal. There have been occasional comments, but generally in the vein of, Miss so-and-so has a crush on you, or Miss, would you be so-and-so's Valentine? It's all in good humor in front of the whole class or a large group and is well-meaning. My school throws a January ball for seniors 16 to 18, which is basically an opportunity to celebrate the start of another calendar year. As it's after hours, not every teacher has to attend, and this year I was asked to chaperone. There is no alcohol permitted, but obviously some of them sneak in hip flasks and so on. During this month's ball, 2 students were huddled at a table in the corner of the hall, not dancing, just keeping to themselves. I know them well as problematic students who have difficulties socially, but also perform poorly academically, so they don't fit in with the popular crowd or the nerdy lot. We have some of these every year. Poor hygiene, greasy hair, long nails, that sort of thing. Immediately, I could tell they had been drinking from the way they spoke and smelled, and asked them to hand over any alcohol they had. One of the boys, call him Stuart, started protesting. He said the following, and I'm 100% sure that this is what he actually basically said, "Come on, miss, don't pretend you won't open that bottle of Bailey's when you get home, feet up in your dressing gown, watching the new TV. Give us a break." Now, as soon as he said this, I felt my heart drop into my stomach and got cold all over. One, I had just bought a bottle of Bailey's Irish cream for myself the weekend before the dance. Two, I am in the habit, on nights where I don't have much marking/planning and want to treat myself, of having a bath and watching a movie/series in my dressing gown. Three, my husband bought a new television over Christmas. I asked him how he knew those things and he feigned ignorance, basically saying it was a lucky guess. I was so shaken that I left them, and a short while later they both left. But that night I could barely sleep and my paranoia kept growing. I simply cannot believe that he could have guessed all three of those things. One, maybe, but no way all three. My husband is away for work currently. I phoned and told him about it and he basically downplayed my concerns, saying I probably mentioned those things to my class at various points and this student has just remembered it, but I would never mention those things. I just wouldn't, and I'm sure I haven't. I've become more skittish at home when I hear noises. I only live in a small house, but when I arrive home from buying groceries, I check every single room and cupboard before I lock the doors. I've also arranged to have the locks changed. When cars stop outside of the house, I turn all the lights off and peek at them through the blinds. I'm having trouble sleeping. In class, this student is quiet and the same as ever, not completing homework assignments, distracted in class. My husband is growing increasingly exasperated and worried more for my mental health than the possibility the student could somehow know details of my personal life. I mentioned it to my supervisor as well, and she also basically reasoned that I had either misheard what he said, it was a coincidence, or a combination of the two. What's the play here? I'm seriously freaked out. I don't know how to even begin putting this to rest. I can't blame you. I would have been also super paranoid because that is creepy. I mean, he could have guessed like the Baileys, I suppose, and the dressing gown, but new TV, that detail is just very strange. Like, how would he know? I would not be able to sleep or rest until I found out because what the is he doing? We have an update. I wasn't expecting this post to receive so much attention. I'm really grateful to so many people who have validated my concerns and helped me develop a plan of action. I got home a little while ago and I'm going out shortly with a friend to try rule out Bluetooth and Wi-Fi devices with my neighbors. After that, the two of us will try and conduct a meticulous search of the house for any concealed devices using the lights out phone camera trick some people recommended and some other tips I found online. Just to clarify a couple of points that I've seen raised a few times. Dressing gown is a really common term here in England for what Americans might call a robe. It's absolutely common parlance. Here, most people I know would associate a robe with something a wizard might wear. In terms of it being a lucky guess, if he had just said relax with a glass of wine, I might have assumed so, but the dressing gown comment, plus the Bailey's comment when I had just bought a bottle, and the explicit mention of a new television, which I'm 100% certain I did not misinterpret, these things make it so much harder to write off as a coincidence. Yeah, it does not sound like a coincidence. As far as social media goes, I have Instagram, which is set to private under my maiden name, and my profile picture is not me. I'm not in the habit of connecting with former students. I only have 3 who have all gone on to study English at university and have used me as references. I also have a Snapchat which I use only with my husband and very close friends. I have posted nothing about my new television and I also don't think I've mentioned this to colleagues, let alone to students. Certainly, I said nothing about the Baileys I just bought. And that's about it for the story because the post has been locked and removed by the moderators. I don't know, they thought it was fake or something. I hope this resolved itself because it honestly sounds insane. I would have been like, nope, this story actually creeps me out so hard because all of these, stalking, someone watching you type of thing freak me out probably more than anything. Let's move on to the next story, which is, am I the for not punishing my son after he came up with a pretty elaborate plan to peep on the neighbor girl topless in her backyard. Lots and lots of ugly background here. I'll try not to wander. My wife and I have been separated for 2 years, ink to paper on an ugly and contentious divorce in May. I have primary custody of our 2 kids, daughter 17 and son 14, and live in the home which we've owned for 20 years. On Monday, I came home to find my son and 2 of his friends up on the roof on our little sun deck. I asked him what he was doing and if he was being safe. They said they were playing army, and since I've coached the other 2 kids in mountain biking for almost 6 years now, I knew their parents wouldn't mind either. So I told him to put the letter away when he was done and to keep his phone on in case I needed him to come down. I was actually most perturbed because he didn't put the letter away. So they did this every day this week until Thursday, when my daughter came home from her CIT job and in her ever so sweet and acerbic tone asked me if I was really so stupid to think my son and friends were playing army, and let me know that the real reason is that our 22-year-old neighbor was in her backyard topless and Aiden had set up a perch on the sun deck to get a better view. I climbed up thinking that she was just trying to get him in trouble, but sure enough, the deck had the perfect view of the chaise lawn where I assumed the girl had usually sat. I told my son to knock it off and he said he would. This morning I got an angry knock on the door and it was my ex-wife and the neighbor. They have been friends for many years. Apparently the neighbor called my wife sometime midweek and they had agreed they would confront me and my son Saturday morning. We sat down and it went from a calm "this is something we're concerned about" to accusations of me being an irresponsible absentee parent and my son leading an adolescent sex ring in a matter of seconds. I tried to remain calm and explain that they are just acting like 14-year-old boys and I've gotten them to stop. My wife asked if I was planning on punishing him. I said that I don't feel like he did anything punishment worthy and rather this was a learning experience about respecting people's privacy. My neighbor said that if he were her son, he'd be in intensive psychotherapy and medicated. I told her that was really overkill. My wife told me not to talk to her friend like that and I asked them to leave before it got any more nuts. My wife has texted me that I'm being incredibly irresponsible and if I don't do something, she's going to her lawyer to revisit the custody arrangement. In all of that, she called me an asshole several times and said it was more miserable being divorced from me than it was to be married to me. Yay, weekend. I guess that's about it. But am I for how I'm handling the issue with my son? Yes, and Reddit also agrees. Like, what the fuck do you mean he didn't do anything punishment worthy? This is giving boys will be boys. He needs to be punished to know and learn the lesson that this is disgusting. It's not something that should be encouraged and it's not something that should be taken lightly. Punish your son and be a better parent. I would not go as far as to say that he has to be in intensive psychotherapy and medicated. I think the neighbor went overboard a little bit on that one. It is kind of a creepy teenage boy behavior, you know, stereotypical one, but it is not acceptable and it should not be just passed by. The wife's burn is also just priceless. It's more miserable being divorced from him than it was being married to him. Just chef's kiss. The top comment here is, "You are the Oh, I was looking for the boys will be boys comment and found it, unsurprisingly." That's gross, and we're moving on to the next story, which is my 21 female boyfriend, 22 male, gets so jealous over his brother's 26 male girlfriend, 28 female, that he cries until he vomits. My boyfriend Jake and I are high school sweethearts and share an apartment with his brother, Finn. Finn has been seeing a woman named Bonnie for the past 3 months. They met over Tinder and with certain restrictions lifting, we're finally getting to spend time with her IRL. For context, it's 2020, so pandemic times. She's a really great person and she and Finn are stupidly into each other. Like accidentally finishing each other's sentences in love, staring at each other with big gooey eyes in love. It's kinda gross, but kinda sweet. A couple of days ago, I noticed that Jake's been acting weird. He's been a lot quieter and a bit colder to me, going to bed early, getting up late. I tried to kiss him and he turned away. Yesterday, when Finn was out, I asked what was up with him. He started off kinda hostile, but when I said that I was really feeling hurt, he blew up. Summarized, he told me that he was rethinking our entire relationship after listening to his brother talk about Bonnie. He said that Bonnie asked for Finn's preference when she cut her hair and didn't get bangs when he said he thought they looked stupid when I got a pixie without asking Jake what he'd think first. He said that Bonnie gave Finn a blowjob every night before bed and one every morning when he woke up when I don't really like oral, giving or receiving. He said I never offered to give him massages or pack his lunch. For clarification, I do things for him all the time, but we've never been lovey-dovey. We don't even celebrate Valentine's Day, his suggestion. We both always agreed it was stupid and unrealistic. In fact, we always used to make fun of people for being sappy and definitely gave Finn hell for a bit over being so gooey. He was crying by the end of it, saying that he felt sick over missing out on someone who would love him that much. I said I loved him, but he didn't want to hear it. He started gagging and threw up a little bit because he was crying so hard. I didn't know what else to do, so I got him some water and went to bed. I went to work early and I've been hanging out at a coffee shop, but I have to go home soon. I have no idea where to go from here or what to say to him. I don't even know if we're still together. Help just with all of this. Yeah, girl, I feel like this relationship is over. Regardless of how you try to work through that, he clearly is not appreciating the ways that you show him you love him. I will go so far as to suspect that he's just straight up developing feelings for Bonnie. I don't know, maybe he's just that jealous of all the blowjobs, you know, and all of the packing lunches and asking what he thinks about haircuts, but yikes, man, I would never be able to look at my partner the same after he did that. Like, he's so jealous of somebody else's girlfriend that he threw up and cried. The king of icks. So, top comments here. Someone goes, in a million years, I would never be able to look at my partner again if they said something like this to me. I'd be out the door for good. And then someone goes, and then started crying so much they threw up. No, thank you. That kind of entitlement and immaturity is a boner killer. And then someone goes, he sounds like a grown-up version of Eric from South Park. Update 3 days later. Sorry I didn't respond to anyone's comments. I went home after posting and by the time I logged back on to Reddit, the post has been locked. A few of you asked for the update, so here it is. I'm single. I came home and Jake was gone. Finn was there and asked if I could sit down for a bit. He wouldn't give me the exact details but said that he and Jake had talked while I was out. He also showed me a few text messages to prove it. Apparently, Finn had never shared any details with his brother, but Jake had been able to hear them moan through the walls when Bonnie stayed over. It wasn't a bro talk or anything after all. Just the man I thought I was gonna marry listening to his brother have sex through the wall. Neat. When Finn got home from work, Jake tried joking about it and made comments about Bonnie's race. Finn kicked him out and now Jake is gonna be staying with their parents, so I have to pay his share of the rent too because Finn refuses to let him in and Jake refuses to come back. Double neat. A few people had questions, so here we go. Did Jake ever mention wanting romantic gestures? No, we actually got together because we were the only goth in school. We bonded over being against lovey-dovey stuff like that. We grew out of the edgy phase, but yeah, he always was firm. He hated Valentine's Day and women who needed roses or gifts to be loved. Has he ever done anything like this before? Now that I think of it, yeah, he's thrown tantrums before, but never like this. Things like carry out orders for getting his side dishes or stores running out of his favorite items always made him really emotional. Why don't you like oral? Bad incident involving Jake's braces left me with some scarring down there. He liked deep throating. 0 out of 10. And then addressing the fact that this is fake, listen man, that's your right to believe it. Even I think it's fake and I'm the one that has to figure out how to ship 200 Funko Pops to my ex. So there you go. The Funko Pops should have been the red flag. Apparently I'm not alone, because someone goes, he had 200 Funko Pops. It was doomed from the start. And another story I have for you is, am I the for telling my girlfriend's friend she can't eat the food I cooked since it's unhygienic? It was a typical Sunday, my day off. As a 29-year-old Indian doctor living abroad, Sundays were my time to relax, hone my cooking skills, and catch up on sleep. My girlfriend of 1 year, who is 28, shared the day with me at home. This particular Sunday, I decided to prepare a simple chicken curry with fries that my girlfriend enjoys. Unlike butter chicken, this version uses onions in the base instead of tomatoes. I don't know why I told you all this, but yeah. 3 of my girlfriend's friends were coming over that afternoon. I'd met 2 of them multiple times, but one was a new acquaintance. They had plans for a casual get-together. Generally, when I cook on such occasions, my girlfriend and her friends insist I join them, which I don't mind. They're good company. I was finishing up the cooking when they arrived. As they chatted in the living room, I put on my headphones to listen to music while wrapping up in the kitchen. Afterward, I stepped out to ask if they'd prefer lunch now or later. Everyone agreed to eat immediately except for the new girl. She commented, "I don't think I'd like Indian food. It's unhygienic." While I mentally raised an eyebrow and chuckled, I refrained from reacting outwardly. My girlfriend, however, was visibly annoyed, and her other friends were quick to call out the remark as inappropriate. One of them even added that wasn't nice to say. I assured everyone I wasn't offended, explaining that stereotypes about Indian food often stem from the street food and hygiene misconceptions, so I understood where the remark might come from. With that, I returned to the kitchen to finalize the meal. My girlfriend followed me and jokingly, I think, said she felt like committing murder. I told her not to stress over it, as I don't take remarks from people I don't care about to heart. When it was time to eat, my girlfriend set the table while I brought out the curry. Everyone else enjoyed the meal and gave me plenty of compliments, which was nice to hear. Midway through the meal, the new guest, despite her earlier remark, expressed a sudden interest in trying the food. Here is where I might have acted immaturely. I closed the lid on the dish and told her, "I don't think you should eat this. It's unhygienic. Remember?" She seemed visibly upset and left the house shortly after. I half expected my girlfriend to be upset with me, but instead she said good riddance, and her other friends reassured me that I'd done nothing wrong. They even mentioned they preferred my company over hers, which was flattering. I joked about liking their company too, but still preferring my Sunday blanket, which made everyone laugh. So, was I in the wrong for closing the lid? No. This was so racist. Dude, why would you say that? Okay, there is this stereotype, right? But this is a person cooking for you in their home. Why would it be unhygienic? I'm glad that they called her out, and your comeback was just perfect because, well, first you insult me and my food and my culture, and then you suddenly want to eat it? No. The top comment on the post is not the and an excellent way to call her out on it, in my opinion. You handled it well. What she said was wildly inappropriate, and she knows it. Happy that your girlfriend and her other friends had your back and didn't make excuses for her BS. That happens all too often in the rural Texas town I'm from. Yeah, it was up, and now I want my husband's chicken curry. Damn it. Another one over here is my husband's getting drinks with a coworker and I'm terrified. My husband, 35 male, and I, 34 female, have been together for 9 years, married for 5. He was showing me a video on his phone the other day and a text came through from a female name I didn't recognize. I asked who it was and he said she's a colleague from a company that his company works closely with. He has text previews turned off so I couldn't actually see what was said, but my suspicions were raised. I know it's wrong, but when he was in the shower that evening, I looked through his phone to see who this girl is and why she's texting him. I found out that they've been getting coffee and lunch during the workday, sometimes to talk about work, sometimes not. Prior to last week, it was maybe once a month communications to plan these, but then she joined the board that he's on last week. So they had a board meeting and then seemed to go out as a group for drinks afterwards until about 11. I did know that he was out with his colleagues during this time and wasn't concerned. What's concerning is that he texted her that night making sure she got home safe and telling her how much fun he had, but that he'd been hoping to have more opportunities to talk with her instead of everyone else. The next morning, he texted her good morning and asked her to drinks one-on-one next week. She agreed and he said he couldn't wait. Of course, I looked her up and she's a very beautiful woman, probably in her mid-20s. I asked again later who she was and what their connection was. He reiterated that she's a colleague and is helping get him connected with exciting opportunities in her organization. I know he's been really focused on networking and she has a lot of high-up community connections that it looks like she's introduced him to. He's also a friendly guy who likes to be involved through board work and professional groups. I don't want to go scorched earth and accuse him of anything inappropriate since my insecurity has been a major issue we've had to work through in the past, but I'm terrified he's going to cheat on me. Would this send off alarm bells for you, and how would you respond without accusing him and ruining the marriage? I wouldn't also be super panicked at that point, but I would certainly be worried. It would be a very big red flag for me. I would be scared of an emotional affair. I would be not happy about them getting this close because there's absolutely no reason to. No reason to go out for drinks one-on-one. Okay, maybe he's using her for her connections, but it can be done in much lighter and less suspicious ways. There is an update. Well, you were all correct. I continued to monitor his text without saying anything, and he continued to be flirty, texting her good morning, telling her how he couldn't wait to see her and how happy he was to hear from her throughout the day. They did go out for dinner and drinks the other night. It sounds like it must have gone well since they're now having flat-out conversations to set the framework for their affair. They've discussed that they want to keep things private and out of work, that she doesn't like that he's married, that they both have mutual feelings and are going to continue and are on the same page about everything, and that she initially didn't want to start this but has developed feelings she can't ignore, while my husband told her that he'd always had these feelings and couldn't resist her. Not sure if anything physical happened, but I'm assuming it did. I thought I would be heartbroken, but now I'm just furious. I'm getting my affairs in order to confront him and end the marriage. I would have been like, nope girl, just take him and have fun because he will cheat on you too. This was the last story I've had for you today. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Thank you so much for watching if you're still here, and I will see you with another video at some point in the future. Bye!